Hey guys, Alex from BoardGameCo over here, and today we are talking about Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Sort of. This isn't a typical unboxing video, this isn't going to be a review, this is not going to be a compare and contrast between Jaws of the Lion and its older brother Gloomhaven. None of that stuff. There's a lot of other good content out there. In fact, today's suggested video is going to be one of those videos. This isn't even my copy of Gloomhaven. After going to 2 Target stores and getting the last copy in stock at the second one, this is actually going to be saved for a giveaway, which I will talk about that as well as the Terraforming Mars giveaway at the end of this video. Rather, this is about a side topic. This is about scalping games. Because I don't know if you know about it yet, but there are definitely people who have seen this a lot. It's all over the place. If you check eBay, if you check whatever local board game group you're on, if you check Board Game Geek Marketplace, anywhere you check, there are copies of this game being sold for $100, $125, $150. Because right now it's hard to get. There's a limited supply, an intensely limited supply, and people want this game. People want to buy this game, and that, as usual, will attract scalpers. People who want to resell for a profit. And it's kind of offensive to a degree. It's kind of annoying that that douchebag goes to Target 20 minutes before you, buys the game only to flip it for a profit, and you show up and the last copy is gone. It's unfair. It's mean. It's rude. It's terrible. He's a horrible human being. Or she, for that matter. Or are they? What are they doing wrong? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about scalping, the aspects of scalping. I have a matrix of what constitutes different forms of scalping. And for each one, I'll cover my opinion of what makes scalping a problem or not. What is actually happening. So to begin with, scalping, in my opinion, is a grid of 2 different aspects playing out in 4 different formulas, 4 different versions of it. The first is, the 2 aspects are supply and opportunity. Now the most basic version of this is unlimited supply, unlimited opportunity, which is really just makes for terrible scalping. Now what I mean by that, what's unlimited supply, unlimited opportunity? The most basic example would be buying a game off of Amazon to try to resell it for a profit. You pick a game, insert whatever game name you want, I don't know, Empires of the North behind me on the shelf. Go online, go on Amazon, buy that game, and then try to sell it to someone else for $20 more than you paid for it. You might be able to. I'm not saying don't try, don't do it, don't whatever, but good luck. You basically have to find an ignorant buyer. Because there's plenty of supply, and there's plenty of opportunity. You haven't done anything in any way that anyone else can't replicate. The second tier of scalping, so the first one's not really scalping, it just doesn't really happen that frequently, and when it does, it's kind of the anomaly. The second tier of scalping is unlimited supply, but limited opportunity. And the most classic example of this in our world would be buying Kickstarter games to resell down the road. Effectively, you have an unlimited supply, you can back as many copies as you want, you can back 20 copies of whatever the most recent command game is, no problem, no one's going to notice, it won't matter at all. But there is a limited opportunity. And in this case, that limited opportunity comes in the sense of the fact that it was only able to be bought at a certain point in time. And everyone else who wants it later won't be able to get in on that. People don't like this. Not everyone, mind you, but there are many people out there who don't appreciate that. And they find those people to be essentially people who are taking advantage of the market. They're taking advantage of others and selling a Kickstarter game for a profit. How dare they? They should sell it for the price they paid for it. Except that's never going to happen. When you're talking about someone who buys a Kickstarter and buys it and sells it for a profit, there's effectively 2 types of people in that category. The first is people who buy it with intention of scalping. They buy it knowing full well that they're going to take these 14 copies and try to sell them on the secondary market, easy peasy, whatever. Those people aren't going to buy it and sell it at cost. Why would they? What's the incentive to lay out your money for a year and a half to risk that the game will actually hold its value and buy 14 copies and just sell it at cost? Why would they do that? So you're not saying you should sell it at cost. I mean, you are, but in reality, there is no universe in which these people are buying these games to sell at cost. That's not happening. It's more of a binary, either they're buying it to sell at a profit, or they're not buying it at all. One or the other. And not buying it at all doesn't increase the supply for anyone else later. That person who missed out on Kickstarter X and is trying to buy it a year and a half later, having no copies available, isn't a better idea than buying these copies at a markup. I don't know who thinks it is. I think it's an impulsive, we have this aspect, we have this mindset that people who are trying to make money are evil. And it's true whether you're an individual or a business, but people who are making money off of others are bad, they are wrong, they are taking advantage of others. I just don't think that's the case. And the second aspect, the second type of person who does that is someone who buys it for themselves, they play it, they don't like it, and then they sell it at market value. Now let me ask you, who's taking advantage of who? The person who buys a game, risks their money, and then sells it at market value when they don't like it? Or the person who says, you should sell your game for less than it's worth? I know you put aside money for a year, I know you risked whether it was a good game, and the market value on the game currently indicates it's worth Y, but you should sell your money for less than that. Who is taking advantage of who? Do we live by some sort of moral construct where everybody has to sell a product for exactly what they paid for it, discounting all the factors that go into that? Because I'll make you a deal. Many people who will sell their game at market value, whatever, sell the game at cost, they'll happily do so if they can sell you all their other Kickstarters at cost. But people only want the popular ones at cost. The ones that were junk and aren't worth anything, I'm not going to pay cost for that. Why would I do that? I'll pay market value. It's this interesting dynamic that involves a lot of resentment, a lot of dislike for people in any way making money on a product. Capitalism isn't evil. Yes, it does have downsides, by the way, but the scope of this video is way too large to delve into the pros and cons of capitalism, so I'll stay out of that discussion. But yes, basically, if you don't like the aftermarket price of Kickstarters, if you have a problem with how expensive Kickstarters are by people who are selling them for a profit later, you know what you should do to fix that problem? You shouldn't try to incentivize people not to do that. You should try to incentivize people to do that. Encourage others to back as many Kickstarters as they can to drive up that price, to flood the market with as many as possible. Don't try to convince as many people as possible about how evil they are and how terrible they are for buying a Kickstarter flipper for a profit. Rather, convince others to do it. Do you know why? Because the more people that are doing it, the lower the demand for the product and the more the price of that Kickstarter after the fact will go down. If you have, just make up a number, if you have 1,000 people selling the latest Command Kickstarter for a profit after it launches, it will be worth one thing. But if you have 5,000 people trying to flip those copies to the same number of people buying them, the price will go down. If you don't like Kickstarter price gouging after the fact, encourage more people to do it. That is the best way to fix your problem. You're trying to fix your problem by going about it the wrong way. You're trying to encourage others not to do this, which will only further drive up the price from those that are left that do it. If you don't like the price of Kickstarters after the fact, I get it. But you're not fixing your problem in any way. If anything, if anyone is listening to you, you're just making it worse. And that is the second category. Unlimited supply, but limited opportunity. The third category I'm not going to touch upon too much, and we'll get to in a second why, but the third category is limited supply and limited opportunity. A great example of that would be anything anyone buys at a convention. You buy the latest copy of, you go to a convention, you see Root. Root's a super hot game right now, or whenever it was, and you buy a few copies with the intent of selling. The supply is more limited. There are a limited number of copies of any product at a convention. And the opportunity is more limited as well because not as many people are there. Whereas a Kickstarter was a limited opportunity in the sense of the time frame, a convention is a limited opportunity that just not a ton of people are there. So if you buy something at a convention to resell, in some way you benefited from a limited opportunity. But the supply was limited as well, which means you may have actually deprived someone else from getting that game. You may have. It's entirely possible that you deprived someone else from getting that game. The reason I'm not going to touch upon that much yet is because I want to touch upon the next category. We'll temporarily touch upon this on the way back. And the last category is limited supply, unlimited opportunity. And a prime example of that would be Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion is a classic example of having a limited supply. There's not enough copies to go around, but there's an unlimited opportunity. In theory, anyone can go to Target and get it. And so when it sells out, it's that much more offensive. When you can't get something at a convention, at least or even a Kickstarter, there's a degree of acceptance involved. There's a degree of, well, I wasn't backing it at the time, or I couldn't go to that convention. There's a degree of acknowledgement that someone else had an opportunity that I didn't. No different than when a store buys from a distributor. They have an opportunity that you don't, and there's a small aspect of fairness that mentally goes into that equation. We mentally equate the fact that we couldn't have gotten that anyway as a degree of fairness. May not perfectly equalize things, but there at least is some tolerance. Versus when we have unlimited opportunity, it is that much more offensive when we show up at Target only to find out that someone else just bought that last copy of Gloomhaven that we really wanted. But is it wrong? What is actually happening here? And I think that's the crux of the question. Because when someone buys 5 copies of Gloomhaven at Target and turns around and flips them for $100 a pop, $125 a pop, are they depriving anyone of actually having the ability to play Gloomhaven? Have they traded their desire for profit at the expense of someone enjoying this game? Not really. Not unless they're hoarding it unsold. In reality, what they've done is they've changed the dynamic. They haven't denied people an opportunity to play Gloomhaven. Rather, they've changed who gets the opportunity to play Gloomhaven. Previously, the person who was playing Gloomhaven, let's call him John. John's a stay-at-home dad. John shows up at Target. John tries to buy Gloomhaven, finds out it's sold out because someone else just bought 4 copies. So now John's deprived of the opportunity to play Gloomhaven. And he went to Target. It's all good. He tried. But instead, let's call her Rachel. Rachel is doing whatever, but she has more money and less time. She's overworked, whether stay-at-home mom, at her day job, whatever it is, overworked, unable to show up at Target, but she does have $125. And she goes on eBay, finds some scalper, and pays him for it. Now Rachel's playing Gloomhaven. Before this equation, Rachel wasn't able to play and John was. And now, Rachel is able to play and John isn't. The scalper hasn't denied the amazing gameplay experience of Gloomhaven from anyone. They just shifted it. They've shifted who gets to play it. And in the process, they've benefited themselves along the way. Does that make them bad? Are they a bad person because they changed who got to play it? Now don't get me wrong, it feels iffy. And I said that myself. I believe it feels iffy. But that's the emotional part of me speaking. I can't tell you why it's wrong. When all that has happened here is that someone else has changed the equation of who gets to play the game and benefited along the way, is that wrong? And keep in mind, by the way, we have no idea what the scalper's personal financial situation is. Are they some horrible, evil human being who's just raking it in across the board? Or are they literally trying to pay their bills and this is an opportunity? You have no idea. Why is it so evil when people try to make money? And in this case, that scalper did, again, they're not hoarding the game. They're trying to sell it. They have not denied the opportunity. They have changed the opportunity. Why is it that the people who have time to run to Target should be more rewarded than the people who have money to buy Jaws of the Lion? This is true of if you've ever played any free-to-play game online, it's the same problem. Why should the person who has 400 hours to crunch away and slowly level up their character, why are they more inherently rewarded and more inherently worthwhile than the person who has $200 to pay for a bunch of stuff and level up their stats? It's the same problem. We constantly seem to view time as something that makes it worthwhile, and money as something that does not make it worthwhile. People who have money to spend, they shouldn't get the opportunity. Only the people who are able to run to Target. Again, I say all this knowing full well that it's iffy. I say all this knowing full well that at the end of the day, I don't want to scalp it myself. There's something that feels a little off about it, and I'd rather just not go there. But I can't tell you why, and I refuse to condemn someone's actions without having a logical reason to condemn them. Now keep in mind, by the way, if at any point you disagree with anything I'm saying, if you disagree and can elucidate why you disagree, why is that person wrong? If you can say that, if you have a good reason, something I'm missing, some oversight, let me know in the comments down below. This is not me, this is not my show where I get to be right. This is something I heard once, is in any conversation you are either right or you are growing and learning, one or the other. I'm fine being wrong here, but I can't currently tell you why that person is bad. I can tell you that they're trying to make money, and I have no problem with someone trying to make money. And I can tell you that they're not denying Gloomhaven from anyone, they are shifting who gets to play it. And I don't know if that's inherently wrong. I mean, you could argue the trolley aspect, the whole trolley dynamic of you don't get to be the person, from a moral argument, you don't get to be the person who, saves 5 lives but kills another. If that's the best argument you have as to why that person is wrong, they have destroyed your ability to play Gloomhaven and given someone else that. I mean, I hear this. It's an interesting moral argument. I don't know if I really want to apply life and death to whether someone plays Gloomhaven now or in 6 months. And keep in mind, by the way, I want this for myself as well. But I have plenty of games. I have plenty of games that I haven't got to the table. I have plenty of opportunities to play other games. I will get Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion for myself a few months from now, when it's more readily available. For right now, I'll take advantage of the fact that I want to do a video on Gloomhaven. I want to do a video about Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. But of course, this is, me and my opinion, and that means I don't just do unboxing reviews or whatever. Rather, I try to take the financial aspect of things. I try to look at it from a different aspect, which means I get to pop up a video about Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, but in reality, I talk about scalping and the ethics of it instead. Welcome to BoardGameCo. It's fun to have you here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Well, before we do that, let's roll back up through those quickly. Again, quick overview: unlimited supply, unlimited opportunity. Buying an Amazon reselling, good luck with that. Unlimited supply, limited opportunity. The most classic example would be a Kickstarter. Again, I understand some people have a problem with it. I can't say why. I can't say what the issue is. Next up, we have limited supply, limited opportunity. That's buying things at conventions is a great example. And the reason I didn't overly dive into that is because I first had to address that moral dilemma of when you deny someone only to sell it to another gamer, what is the crime being committed? I don't know. And then finally, limited supply, unlimited opportunity. Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, a lot of unhappy people, a lot of people who aren't able to play their copy, get a copy, and at the same time watching others scalp it for $100, $150. I get it, man. It really, really sucks. It does. If there were more copies available, I'd own one right now for myself. But I only got one, and so that one is being used for a giveaway. Speaking of giveaways, let's talk about giveaways briefly. So, Terraforming Mars big box giveaway. If you have, if you haven't commented on that video yet, please go ahead and do so. I'll link down below. That will be over on Thursday is the last day to comment. On Friday, I'll be running the drawing where I pick a winner. Gloomhaven giveaway is going to be a little different. There's nothing you can actually do to enter it yet. I'll cover that when we get closer. What do I mean by closer? This is going to be for when we hit 8,000 subscribers. I picked 8,000 because 10,000 seemed too far away, and I mean the whole point is you should play it now rather than later. But less than 8,000, I mean this is a good giveaway, I think, right? It's less money, it cost me less money than Terraforming Mars, but I think more people want it. So I definitely wanted to pick a good number, and I thought 8,000 was a good, decent goal that we can hopefully hit in a few weeks if you guys keep at it. And again, I'm unbelievably grateful for every single person who has subscribed, every person who has watched, who has commented. I'm really enjoying this whole YouTube journey thing, and you guys are such a huge part of it. So as soon as we hit, I think when we hit 7,000, I'll announce what we have to do for this. Maybe I'll do another Gloomhaven video about something else. We'll see. But that's basically it. In terms of today's recommended video, today's featured video is going to be a set of 2 videos. This is by BoardGameCo, who I talked about briefly in my top 10 YouTubers video. But BoardGameCo has 2 videos about Gloomhaven, a how to play video, an unboxing video, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'll link them shortly. Both great videos, intensely humorous. Again, as I said last time, his stuff is simultaneously engaging as well as humorous and then well-informed. The humor doesn't come at the cost of the content. It is in addition to the content, and it enhances the content. I'll link to those videos up above. I will note, someone pointed this out, but BoardGameCo is basically the same as BoardGameCo, BGC, plus a little fee at the end. So I'm a little bit resentful about that in hindsight. Didn't think about that at the time, but I'll learn to live with it. Until next time, I'm Alex from BoardGameCo. This has been our take on Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, our spin on how to get those views for something only slightly related. You can comment down below. Please subscribe. Please engage. It is truly a pleasure having you on this channel and being a part of this journey. Thanks so much, and until next time.